You will never see their names on a voting ballot, yet they effectively own your home, hold your debt, harvest your data, and in some cases, they own the politicians you actually do vote for. In modern America, true power doesn't stand at a podium. It operates in the dark. Welcome to Historic Money Map. Today, we are uncovering the invisible architects of the global economy. Most people have heard the term hedge fund, but ask someone to define it and they'll usually get it wrong. The name itself sounds harmless, almost like a landscaping service for the suburbs. But behind that boring label lies one of the most aggressive, profitable, and influential machines in the history of capitalism. Think of a hedge fund as a private club for the ultra-wealthy. It is a massive pool of capital collected from billionaires, pension funds, and sovereign states, handed over to a small team with one ruthless directive: make maximum profit by any legal means necessary. If a standard mutual fund drives a minivan in the slow lane, a hedge fund is driving a tank off-road at night with the headlights off. They use leverage, borrowing massive sums to amplify their bets. They trade derivatives, complex contracts that bet on the future price of assets. They make money when the economy booms, but they often make even more when it crashes. But it wasn't always this way. To understand the monster, we have to look at the egg. The first hedge fund was created in 1949 by a sociologist named Alfred Winslow Jones. His goal wasn't world domination, it was balance. He wanted to hedge his risk, buying stocks he liked while betting against stocks he didn't. It was academic, it was safe. But in the 1980s, the era of deregulation tore the rulebook apart. Cheap debt and loose laws transformed these funds from safety nets into weapons. If the average investor plays checkers, hedge funds began playing high-stakes poker using other people's chips. And they started winning against entire nations. Take 1992. A fund manager named George Soros decided that the British pound was overvalued. He didn't just write an article about it, he bet against the currency of the United Kingdom. He shorted the pound so aggressively that the Bank of England, a sovereign institution, collapsed under the pressure. Soros made $1 billion in a single week. The British government was humiliated. That wasn't finance anymore. That was geopolitical warfare. But this power is a double-edged sword. In 1998, Long-Term Capital Management, a fund run by Nobel Prize winners, thought they had solved the market with math. They were wrong. When a Russian debt crisis hit, their models shattered. The Federal Reserve had to step in and organize a bailout, not to save the rich managers, but because letting the fund fail would have detonated the global banking system. And that is where the lesson was learned. If you are big enough, risk is negotiable. Fast forward to 2008. While millions of Americans were losing their homes, hedge funds were evolving again. Managers like John Paulson made billions betting on the collapse of the American dream. But what happened next is what affects you today. After the crash, hedge funds didn't just bet on stocks. They started buying things. They bought foreclosed homes by the tens of thousands, turning entire neighborhoods into corporate revenue streams. In some U.S. cities, 1 in every 5 rental homes is now owned by an institutional investor. You don't have a landlord anymore. You have a ticker symbol and an algorithm. Today, they have become what some analysts call the private intelligence agencies of capitalism. They buy satellite imagery to track retail traffic. They analyze shipping logistics in real time, and they purchase credit card data to know what you're buying before you've even checked out. They know the future because they have the data to predict it and the capital to shape it. They don't need to conquer nations like the empires of old. They simply buy the nation's debt. They don't need to raise flags. They just raise their profit margins. This is the new empire of leverage. It is efficient, it is invisible, and it is everywhere. But history warns us of one thing: power concentrates until it breaks. No empire built purely on debt has ever survived forever. If you want to see the strings that move the world, make sure you're subscribed. History has the answers, we just show you where to look.